some science fiction stories nudge the boundaries. Others sprint past them and kick out dust. This list looks at films that drew heat for graphic imagery, provocative ideas, or disturbing scenarios, and that sparked censors, critics, or audiences to push back. Uh, you'll find content warnings, bans, and behind the scenes. Notes that explain why each title set off alarms when it arrived. Each pick includes clear context about what's on screen and what happened around the release. You will see the big scenes that caused complaints, the ratings fights that followed, and the versions that circulated. If you plan a watch party, this will help you decide which cut exists where and what intensity to expect. A Clockwork Orange. Stanley Kubrick adapted Anthony Burgess's novel about Alex and the Ludovico rehabilitation program, which forces aversion conditioning with drugs and violent imagery. The film's explicit assaults, home invasion, and medical restraint sequences triggered heavy controversy and an X rating in the United States on first release. Before later recertification, following reports of copycat concerns in Britain, Kubrick withdrew the film from UK circulation at the request of local authorities, and it remained unavailable theatrically there for decades. Multiple video versions exist, and later releases carried different ratings as boards updated their standards. So running times and certificates can vary by country. Videodrome 1983, David Cronenberg's story follows a pirate broadcast that warps perception with sequences of organic videotapes, a stomach slit used as a weapon slot, and hallucinatory torture. The Canadian production pushed body transformation effects with practical appliances that blended television and flesh. Censorship boards demanded cuts in several regions, and distributors prepared both R-rated and unrated edits with alternate lengths. The effects team documented how specific makeups were toned down for some territories. So some versions in circulation can differ on shot duration during the most graphic moments. The Fly, 1986. A scientist merges with a housefly after a teleportation experiment, leading to progressive body decay shown in detailed stages. That the film maps the transformation with escalating prosthetics that track fingernail loss, skin lesions, and limb changes over time. It was test screenings identified a removed monkey cat scene that proved too extreme and remains a common topic in home video extras. The released cuts still earn restrictive ratings in many countries, and marketing materials often came with content advisories that highlighted disease imagery and surgical detail. Is Ketsuo, the Iron Man, 1989. This Japanese cyberpunk film uses high contrast black and white photography to depict a man whose body fuses with metal. Stop motion sequences and abrasive industrial sound turn everyday settings into hostile spaces, while the protagonist sprouts rebar and drills. The film's brief running time did not limit the intensity, and festival screenings frequently included warnings about strobe effects and sensory overload. Later home releases offered transfers from different source elements, and minor timing differences appear between versions due to frame rate conversions. Event horizon. It's also like MAME, Evidency have what's the biggest farm there. A deep space rescue finds a ship that may have traveled through a hostile dimension with recovered video logs showing torture glimpses and self-mutilation. Reports from the production describe a longer work print with extended gore that was never restored after elements were lost or deteriorated. The theatrical cut still earned strict classifications across markets and prompted advisories for sustained terror and graphic injury. Home releases include featurettes that discuss the missing scenes and explain why a definitive extended version has not been assembled. It would be like scanners. And so a corporate battle between telepaths features the well-known demonstration where a subject's head explodes during a conference. The scene relied on practical effects that were inspected closely by ratings boards, which requested careful framing and limited repetition in some territories. International releases shipped with alternate edits of the key shots. Some television versions replaced the most graphic angles with reaction coverage in Robots Men. Collectors often compare transfer notes to confirm which master disc uses because timing around that scene varies by a few seconds. Make It Akira, 1988, and set in Neo-Tokyo after a mysterious blast. The story follows Tetsuo as latent psychic power grows into uncontrolled mutation during the final act. The animation displays rapid body expansion, exposed tissue, and mechanical absorption that pushed theatrical ratings for animated features at the time. Early English localizations trimmed dialogue and altered cue placement, while later restorations reinserted lines and remixed audio at higher fidelity. Region-specific age certificates differed, and several broadcasters scheduled late-night slots with content warnings when the film aired on television of the images. Strangers wake inside a labyrinth of rooms that contain lethal traps, which are shown with mechanical detail and practical gore. The setup uses math clues to navigate, but wrong moves activate devices that slice, burn, or impale. Multiple home video cuts circulate with small timing and audio changes tied to distributor territories. Ratings bodies cited persistent menace and sudden shock violence, and some edited television airings softened the opening track by shortening the final reveal. Society, 1989, a Beverly Hills teen suspects his wealthy circle is part of a secret species with shape-shifting abilities that feed on outsiders. The finale features an extended transformation set piece created with elastic prosthetics and liquefying effects that made the film a cult item. Release history shows delays and limited theatrical runs in several countries due to distributor caution about marketability. Later, festival encore screenings added content notices for sexualized body horror, and different territories assigned adult-only classifications on home media. Hardware, 1990. In a desert wasteland scavenged robot head reactivates and reconstructs itself inside an apartment, leading to a siege with corrosive fluids and cutting tools. The production drew on low light photography and red filters to accentuate gore and mechanical damage in tight spaces. The UK release encountered rating scrutiny, and some early video editions carried small cuts to reduce injury detail. Uh, um, Music rights and alternate sound mixes created differences between versions. So home releases can vary slightly in track listings, and end credit audio to provide threads, 1984. And so this British docudrama models a nuclear exchange and its aftermath in Sheffield using a procedural style that follows families, medical systems, and infrastructure collapse. The film includes depictions of burns, radiation sickness, and long-term societal breakdown over months and years. Initial television broadcast arrived with advisories and generated complaints about intensity and realism. Later educational screenings used study guides and age restrictions, and different edits exist with minor content changes for rebroadcasts in other countries. In Neon Genesis Evangelion, The End of Evangelion, chapter 1997, this feature conclusion to the anime series replaces a television ending with large-scale biomechanical combat and human instrumentality sequences that incorporate apocalyptic imagery. The film shows pilots suffering catastrophic injuries and includes brief shots that triggered stricter ratings for theatrical playdates. And Japanese and international releases appeared with different subtitle tracks and sound mixes, and select home editions offer both Dolby and lossless options that reveal more detail in the aggressive sound design. Exhibition histories often note age gates and content warnings, and festivals and revival screenings, and Possessor, whatever it means by maybe springs or fewer tire. And so, an assassin uses brain implant technology to control hosts and carry out corporate hits, with scenes that emphasize bodily intrusion and identity loss. The production prepared two versions, one unrated and one edited, for a more restrictive theatrical certificate definition. Release notes identify shot-specific edits to stabbing, close-ups, and aftermath imagery in the rated version. In these questions, a few points. When you find them, which is the top of the FBI when you see this product is not changing? It's able to point out with a Annihilation, or says, well, 2018, a team enters an expanding zone called the Shimmer, where DNA refracts and produces hybrid flora and fauna, including a sequence with a mutated bear that incorporates human vocalization. The film blends scientific fieldwork with body alteration, tumors, and self-destruction captured on found footage after test screenings were received. In the distribution strategy split with a theatrical release in North America and a streaming debut in many international markets. The version itself remained consistent, but the shift affected availability, windows, and language options, which can differ by country. Under the Skin, edit 2013, an alien predator drives around Scotland and lures men to a void where bodies dissolve into liquid, shown with stark visual effects and minimal dialogue. Real street encounters filmed with hidden rigs mixed with designed set pieces, creating a documentary texture around the science fiction plot. And screenings often included advisories for nudity and disturbing imagery. Home editions vary on extras, with some discs offering production featurettes about the void effects and others providing only the feature. So bonus material availability depends on the labor of that and region. What Share the titles you would add to this list in the comments so everyone can compare notes. Hey everyone, if you're enjoying this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Have you ever wondered what lurks when sci-fi foams ditch tame plots and dive into the abyss of raw, unsettling ideas? Imagine a world where directors don't hold back, crafting tales that ignite debates, ratings battles, and even bans. These stories paint vivid pictures of graphic horrors, uh, provocative twists, and uh, scenarios that challenge what we see on screen. From mind altering tech to body melting disasters, they spark censors, critics, and viewers into heated arguments. Each film reveals behind the scenes tension cut versions and warnings that shaped their legacy. Join me as we journey through 10 boundary breaking classics that redefined extreme cinema. Um, First, picture a punk named Alex forced into a rehab nightmare from Stanley Kubrick's 1971 classic, based on Anthony Burgess's novel. And violent assaults and medical restraints sparked outrage, earning an X rating in the US initially. In Britain, copycat fears led to a self-imposed ban, keeping it off screens for decades. Different video cuts vary in timing and certificates worldwide. Next, envision a pirate TV signal, warping reality in David Cronenberg's 1983 gem, blending flesh with machines, hallucinatory slit torsos, and transforming bodies demanded region-specific cuts, both R-rated and unrated versions, circulated, altering graphic sequences. And then a scientist's teleportation mishap turns him into a decaying fly man. In 1986's remake, with prosthetics showing fingernail by nail horror. An extreme monkey scene hit the cutting room floor. It could restrictive ratings followed due to disease-like deformations. Dive into Japanese cyberpunk with 1989's Tetsuo, where a man sprouts metal in abrasive stop-motion fury, strobe warnings, and brief runtime pack intense overload. Festivals flagged sensory assaults in this hostile tale. Cut to a cursed spaceship in 1997's Event Horizon, revealing dimension tortured logs and mutilation, missing gore scenes, haunt production legends, strict classification warnings, flooded advisory boards to recall the head exploding telepath duel in 1981 Scanners, bankrolled by corporate mind wars. Practical effects faced framing tweaks for global releases. Alternate edits dodge graphic angles in select versions. and zoom to Neo Tokyo's Psychic Blasts in 1988's Akira, animating bulging mutations and machine mergers. Unfortunately, and then theatrical ratings tightened for animated shocks. Restorations refined audio and dialogue fidelity overseas. Trapped in a math-riddled death maze of traps. 1997's Cube slices, burns, and impales with practical menace. Ratings cited sudden violence, softening reveals in TV cuts, shape-shifting elite predators in 1989's Society, liquefy in prosthetic finales, cultifying Beverly Hills horrors, releases delayed amid market fears with adult barriers erected, and Our Robot Head rebuilds in 1990s hardware, sieging apartments with corrosive tools in desert settings, UK scrutiny cut injury details on early videos. Nuclear fallout unfolds in 1984's Threads docudrama style, with months of sickness and collapse. TV broadcasts drew advisories and realism grites. Biomechanical apocalypses crash in 1997's Evangelion End, trading TV vibes for catastrophic pilot pains. Subtitle mixes and audio fidelity spark rating heights. An assassin's brain implants invade hosts in 2020's Possessor, blurring identities through bodily takeovers. Edited cuts toned stabbing clocks for wider play. DNA warping Shinner Zone's birth hybrids in 2018's Annihilation, mutating bears and self-shredding horrors. And we can see that the concept, of course, that altered streaming access globally in Mind Point. An alien illusion lures men to dissolving voids in 2013's Under the Skin, mixing raw encounters with stark effects. Nudity advisories greeted screenings, extras, varying by disc. These films don't just watch back. They haunt imagination, proving sci-fi can teleport straight into nightmares. Speaking of teleportation, why did the sci-fi writer break up with his girlfriend? She said his ideas were too far-fetched. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time. So I am not talking about the summarized. Start with a time, exploring AI's cosmic insights. In AI suggests new theories about dark matter, potentially linking it to undiscovered particle types. Researchers are testing these ideas, exploring how dark matter might interact with gravitational waves. Usage to solve the tokens usage, solve the impact usage underscore tokens C445 none token. Hey everyone, if you're enjoying this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Have you ever wondered what lurks when sci-fi films ditch tame plots and dive into the abyss of raw, unsettling ideas? Imagine a world where directors don't hold back, crafting tales that ignite debates, ratings battles, and even bans. These stories paint vivid pictures of graphic horrors, provocative twists, and scenarios that challenge what we see on screen. From mind-altering tech to body-melting disasters, they spark censors, critics, and viewers into heated arguments. Uh, each film reveals behind-the-scenes tension, cut versions, and warnings that shape their legacy and makes join me as we journey through 10 boundary-breaking classics that redefined extreme cinema. First, picture a punk named Alex, forced into a rehab nightmare from Stanley Kubrick's 1971 classic, based on Anthony Burgess's novel. Violent assaults and medical restraints sparked outrage, earning an X rating in the US initially. In Britain, they copycat fears come keeping their most kind of self-imposed ban and keeping it off screens for decades. Different video cuts vary in timing and certificates. Worldwide, next, envision a pirate TV signal warping reality in David Cronenberg's 1983 gem, blending flesh with machines. Hallucinatory slit torsos and transforming bodies demanded region-specific cuts. Both R-rated and unrated versions circulated, altering graphic sequences, has made. And then a scientist's teleportation mishap turns him into a decaying flyman in 1986's remake, with prosthetics showing fingernail by nail horror. An extreme monkey scene hit the cutting room floor. Restrictive ratings followed due to disease-like deformations, absolutely. And it's dive into Japanese cyberpunk with 1989's Tetsuo, where a man sprouts metal in abrasive stop-motion fury. Strobe warnings and brief runtime pack, intense overload. Festivals flagged sensory assaults in this hostile tale. Cut to a cursed spaceship in 1997's Event Horizon, revealing dimension tortured logs and mutilation. Missing gore scenes haunt production legends. Strict classification warnings, flooded advisory boards. Recall the head-exploding telepath duo in 1981's Scanners, bankrolled by corporate mind wars. Practical effects face framing tweaks for global releases. Alternate edits dodge graphic angles in select versions. Zoom to Neo Tokyo's psychic blasts in 1988's Akira, animating bulging mutations and machine vergers. Theatrical ratings tightened for animated shocks. That restorations refined audio and dialogue fidelity overseas. Trapped in a math riddle, death maze of traps. 1997's Cube Slices burns and impales with practical menace. Ratings cited sudden violence, softening reveals in TV cuts. Shape-shifting elite predators. In 1989's Society, liquefying prosthetic finales, cultifying Beverly Hills horrors, releases delayed amid market fears, with adult barriers erected. A robot head rebuilds in 1990s. Hardware sieging apartments with corrosive tools in desert settings. UK scrutiny cut injury details on early videos. Nuclear fallout unfolds in 1984's Threads, docudrama style, with months of sickness and collapse. TV broadcasts drew advisories and realism gripes. Biomechanical apocalypses crash in 1997's Evangelion End, trading TV vibes for catastrophic pilot pains. Subtitle mixes and audio fidelity sparked rating hikes. An assassin's brain implants invade hosts in 2020's Possessor, blurring identities through bodily takeovers. Edited cuts, tone stabbing clocks for wider play. DNA warping, shimmer zones, birth hybrids in 2018's Annihilation, mutating bears, and self-shredding horrors. Theatrical splits, altered streaming access globally. And an alien illusion lures men to dissolving voids in 2013's Under the Skin, mixing raw encounters with stark effects. And then my movie over into the application in the movie that these films don't just watch back, they haunt imagination, proving sci-fi can teleport straight into nightmares. Speaking of teleportation, why did the sci-fi writer break up with his girlfriend? She said his ideas were too far-fetched. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time,